Apache woman slips into the cowboy's bed to keep warm, and what he discovered made his heart skip a beat. Snow stung the explorer's face, and the cold sank into his bones like iron needles. The planet, far from Earth, had earned its nickname for a reason. It was beautiful but deadly. Even the smallest mistakes could freeze a human in minutes. The cowboy, a tall man with weathered skin and eyes sharp as flint, trudged through the snow. His boots sank with every step, leaving deep impressions that would quickly be covered by the relentless blizzard. He adjusted the straps of his backpack, feeling the weight of the supplies, food, water, sensors, and a small portable energy generator. Each item had been meticulously chosen for survival, but even he knew there was no guarantee against this storm. Somewhere ahead, a dim light flickered. He squinted, trying to make out its shape through the swirling snow. For a moment he thought it was a trick of his eyes. Then he saw it clearly, a small structure, a research shelter half buried in ice. Relief surged through him. He quickened his pace, kicking snow in his path. Inside the shelter, the warmth was immediate. The cowboy let out a long breath, shaking off snowflakes that had clung to his coat. The air smelled faintly of metal and the synthetic fibers of blankets left by previous explorers. He checked the temperature gauge, still cold but survivable. He began untying his boots, unaware that he was not alone. A shadow moved in the corner of his vision. He froze. At first he thought it might be another explorer, or worse, some alien creature adapted to the harsh climate. But then a voice broke the silence. "Excuse me," it said softly. "I mean no harm. I only need to warm myself." He turned slowly and saw her. She was wrapped in a thick, fur-lined cloak, her dark hair tucked under a hood. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent, scanning the small cabin as carefully as he had scanned the plains. She carried a small pack, and something about her stance made it clear she was not afraid of danger, only prepared for it. "I didn't know anyone else was out here," he said, his voice low. "The storm, it's dangerous." "I know," she replied. Her accent was strange, familiar yet different, shaped by years of survival on frontier worlds. "I travel alone. The storm forced me to seek shelter." He hesitated. Offering shelter to a stranger was risky, but leaving her outside could be deadly. He nodded toward the empty cot. "You can stay, just don't touch anything I'm using." She inclined her head. "Thank you." She moved quietly, careful not to disturb the small items scattered across the cabin. As she settled onto the cot, he noticed something strange. Her equipment glowed faintly in the dim light. The straps of her pack were etched with tiny, shimmering symbols, almost like writing but moving slightly, like they were alive. "What is that?" he asked, pointing. She glanced down, then back at him, her eyes serious. "It's old, very old. It's not dangerous, but it's powerful." The cowboy frowned. "Powerful how?" She hesitated, as if weighing how much to reveal. "It reacts to certain conditions, to energy, to intention." He tilted his head, curious despite the cold that had seeped into his mind. He had seen advanced technology before, but nothing like this. The symbols pulsed softly, sending a faint light onto the snow-flecked floor. "Can you show me?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not yet. First we survive the storm. Then perhaps you'll understand." Outside, the wind howled, rattling the metal walls of the shelter. Inside, the cowboy set to work, stoking a small heater and pulling out blankets. He felt the warmth slowly seep into his fingers, but not his thoughts. He kept glancing at the symbols, at the way they seemed to respond to the heat of the cabin, almost like they were alive. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the occasional gust of wind and the hiss of the heater. He learned little about the woman, her name, her purpose, her origins, but the way she moved, the careful precision in everything she did, impressed him. She was not an ordinary traveler. She was someone who had survived impossible conditions before. Finally, curiosity overcame caution. Why travel alone out here? No one else would dare." She looked at him, eyes reflecting both the faint light and the storm outside. Because some things are worth the risk. Some discoveries cannot wait for others to be ready. Her words made him pause. There was something in them, a promise of knowledge, of adventure that went beyond simple survival. He felt a flutter of excitement, mixed with the fear of the unknown. The storm outside grew stronger. Snow lashed at the small windows, and the shelter creaked under the weight of ice and wind. The cowboy moved closer to the heater, but kept one eye on the woman. Then the symbols on her pack shifted, reacting to the heater's warmth. They glowed brighter, moving in patterns that were almost rhythmic. "Is it alive?" he whispered. "In a way," she said. "It responds to attention, to thought, to care." He watched, fascinated. The patterns seemed to tell a story, flowing across the straps like tiny rivers of light. Something deep in him stirred, a sense of wonder he hadn't felt in years of exploration. This was not just survival. This was discovery. Hours turned to night, or what passed for night on a planet where the sun barely penetrated the icy clouds. The storm did not abate, but inside the cabin, a fragile warmth had taken hold. The cowboy and the woman, strangers moments ago, shared a small, silent alliance. They had no idea what awaited them outside, but inside, for the first time in days, they were safe. Then the cabin shook slightly as if something outside had bumped into it. Both of them froze. "Earthquake?" he asked, though the planet's surface was mostly frozen rock. "Not likely," she said. Her eyes flicked to her pack. The symbols had changed again, moving faster, brighter, almost urgent. "It's reacting." "What's reacting?" he asked, stepping closer. "The device," she said softly. "It senses energy. Something is nearby." He glanced at the snowstorm outside, then back at her. His heart raced, not with fear but with anticipation. Humans had always been explorers, but this felt bigger than anything he had faced before, bigger than any planet, any storm. The wind shrieked outside, but inside, a quiet tension hung in the air. The cowboy realized that the woman was not merely surviving this world. She was connecting with it, understanding it in ways he could barely imagine. And perhaps, just perhaps, together they could uncover something no human had ever seen. As the storm raged, he looked at her, and for the first time in a long while, he felt something unfamiliar, a thrill, not from danger but from potential. The symbols glowed brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat, and he knew that the night would be long, but also the beginning of something extraordinary. Outside, the planet continued its icy howl. Inside, two humans waited, hearts and minds alert, on the edge of a discovery that would change everything. The storm outside continued to rage, but inside the small shelter, the air was quiet now, almost peaceful. The cowboy watched the glowing symbols on the woman's pack. They seemed alive, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. His curiosity had grown overnight. Every explorer dreams of discovering something new, something no one else has seen. And now it was right in front of him. "Tell me," he said slowly, careful not to startle her. "What are these symbols? How do they work?" The woman studied him for a long moment, then sighed. "These are not just symbols," she said. "They are a form of alien technology. My people have studied it for generations, quietly, far from colonies and cities. It is old, older than any human settlement on this planet." The cowboy's eyes widened. "Aliens? Real aliens?" "Yes," she said softly, "but they are gone, extinct. What remains are traces and some devices. Most humans cannot understand them. Most would break them trying. But the human mind is capable of more than most think. We can see patterns, imagine solutions, connect things others miss. That is why we survived out here." He nodded slowly. Humans surviving harsh worlds, adapting, thriving, that was their strength. And now it seemed their strength could uncover secrets no one else could touch. "Can you show me?" he asked, voice low with anticipation. She hesitated. "I can, but only carefully. The device responds to energy, to thought, to focus. If we are careless, we could lose the connection and the knowledge would remain hidden." The cowboy stepped closer. He had spent years exploring dangerous planets, mapping terrain, surviving storms, and learning the subtle cues of environments that could kill. He knew patience and observation mattered more than strength. "Okay," he said, "I can do that. I'll follow your lead." She nodded, taking a deep breath. Then, with careful movements, she unstrapped the pack and placed it on the small table in the center of the cabin. The symbols shimmered and shifted, reacting to the heater and the warmth of their presence. "Focus on it," she instructed. "Don't just look, think, imagine its purpose." The cowboy leaned in. At first he saw nothing but faint glowing lines, but slowly patterns emerged. Shapes formed, rotated, and connected. It was as if the symbols were speaking in a language of light, not sound. The cowboy felt a shiver of awe. Humans were explorers by nature, curious and clever, able to see connections even when nothing obvious was there. And now his curiosity was rewarded. "They respond to thought?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Humans can perceive their energy, understand it in ways other species cannot. Your mind, your imagination, your intuition, it allows you to unlock what is hidden." The symbols shifted again, forming a small, three-dimensional hologram above the pack. The cowboy gasped. It was a star map, not of this system, but of an entire region of space. Planets, moons, asteroid fields, even anomalies he had never seen in any recorded human chart. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "Where did this come from?" "From the archives," she said. "The civilization that left this behind created devices to record knowledge, maps, discoveries, and more. They hid it where few could reach and left traces only the cleverest species could unlock. That species might be humans." The cowboy's mind raced. This was no ordinary find. This could reshape humanity's understanding of the universe. New worlds, new phenomena, new knowledge, possibly even technologies that could change life as they knew it. "Do you understand it all?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not yet. Even my people who studied these for generations understand only pieces. But together, with our minds, our creativity, our curiosity, we can discover much more." For hours, they examined the hologram. The cowboy pointed out connections he noticed, paths between star systems, clusters of planets with strange energy readings. She smiled faintly, impressed. He was right. Humans could think differently than her ancestors had imagined. "They thought no one could understand their patterns," she said. "But humans, we see possibilities. We see solutions. That is why you survived the storm outside. That is why you can help unlock what they left behind." Outside, the blizzard continued, but inside, the cabin felt like a small universe unto itself. They moved carefully, adjusting the pack, watching the holographic stars. Every pulse of light seemed to hum in response to their thoughts, almost as if the device were alive in its own way. The cowboy noticed something odd. One of the stars on the hologram flickered differently than the others. "Look at this one," he said. "It's not like the others." She examined it. "Ah, yes, that is an anomaly. It is a remnant of their energy network. Most would not notice it, but it's important. It may lead us to one of the archives." The cowboy leaned closer, excitement building. "An archive, like a hidden library or storage facility." "Yes," she said, "but more than that. They recorded their discoveries, their knowledge of energy, physics, and life itself. If we can find it, humanity could learn things we never imagined." He felt his heart race. This was why humans explored, why they survived. It was the thrill of the unknown, the challenge of discovery, and the joy of solving mysteries others could not. And now the stakes were higher than ever. Suddenly the cabin trembled again, faint but noticeable. The cowboy and the woman froze. "The storm?" he asked. "No," she said, her eyes widened. The symbols pulsed rapidly. "It's reacting to something outside, something near the surface, perhaps buried beneath the ice." He frowned. "Something buried, what could survive this storm?" "It may not be alive," she said. "It could be a structure, a hidden ruin, or a device left intentionally. The creators wanted only the cleverest to find it." The cowboy's mind raced. Humans thrived where others failed, adapted where others perished, and discovered where others overlooked. Perhaps this was their chance to reach farther to see what no human had seen before. "We should go," he said. "Once the storm passes, we could follow this, whatever it is." She nodded. "Yes, but we must be careful. The path is dangerous. The ice is deep and the winds can disorient, but I think we can make it together." The night passed slowly. They took turns resting, keeping watch over the glowing symbols. Every now and then the device pulsed, casting light across the cabin like a miniature aurora. The cowboy could not take his eyes off it. He had seen many things in his life: storms, alien landscapes, frozen plains, but nothing like this. At dawn, the storm began to abate. The snow fell lightly now, and the wind had lost much of its fury. The cowboy stepped outside, scanning the horizon. The plains stretched endlessly, white and glimmering, with ice spires like frozen towers rising in the distance. Somewhere beneath that snow and ice lay the anomaly, waiting to be found. The woman joined him, her cloak pulled tightly against the cold. She carried her pack carefully, the symbols now dim, resting but still alive. "We start today," she said. "The path will be difficult, but I believe humans are meant for this challenge. Not just survival, but discovery." He nodded, feeling the truth of her words. Humans were explorers, dreamers, and problem solvers. Alone, they could endure. Together, they could achieve the impossible. And perhaps, here on this frozen world, they would uncover something no human had ever seen before. As they set out across the icy plains, the cowboy looked at the woman and felt a sense of awe, not just at the alien technology, but at the human potential she represented. Survival had brought them together, curiosity would guide them, and discovery would define them. The wind blew cold against their faces, but neither flinched. Ahead of them lay a hidden legacy, waiting for human minds to unlock. And for the first time in a long time, the cowboy felt truly alive. The journey had begun, and the stars, faintly visible through the icy clouds, seemed to whisper of worlds yet to be discovered. The frozen plains stretched endlessly, white and glittering under a pale alien sun. The wind still carried a bite, though the worst of the storm had passed. Each step the cowboy took sank into the snow, leaving behind impressions that would vanish with the next gust. Beside him, the woman moved with quiet confidence, her boots making soft, crunching sounds. She was nimble, adjusting to the icy terrain with a skill honed by years of survival. "The anomaly should be this way," she said, pointing toward distant ice formations that glimmered like glass towers in the sunlight. "The symbols in my pack react more strongly as we approach." He nodded. The device had been quiet during the night, but now it pulsed faintly in her hands, like a heartbeat that matched their own pace. Every pulse seemed to pull them forward, guiding them toward something hidden beneath the ice. The cowboy glanced around. Snowdrifts created false horizons, making it difficult to judge distances. The plains were not merely flat. They were sculpted by centuries of wind into valleys, ridges, and hidden crevices. A single misstep could plunge a man into freezing depths. Humans were survivors, yes, but only careful, observant humans would navigate this world safely. "Watch your footing," she said softly. "There are thin layers of ice hiding deep crevices. One wrong step could trap us or worse." He followed her advice carefully, testing each step with a long pole he carried. The tip tapped against ice, snow, and occasionally empty air where a crevice yawned beneath. Hours passed like this, each step a cautious negotiation with the landscape, but neither complained. Both were focused, driven by curiosity and the faint glow of the symbols in her pack. At midday, they stopped briefly to rest beside a small ice ridge. The wind had calmed, and the sun shone dimly through a veil of clouds, casting pale shadows on the snow. The woman unstrapped her pack, laying it on a flat section of ice. The symbols pulsed more brightly in response to their attention. "See," she said, "we are close, closer than ever before." The cowboy examined the holographic display that flickered faintly above her pack. The anomaly, now clearly marked, lay beneath a series of ridges and frozen cliffs. There were no signs of other explorers. No paths had been blazed. Humanity alone had ventured here, guided by their ingenuity and curiosity. "How far do we have to go?" he asked, his voice low. "Not far," she said. "Perhaps a few more hours, but the terrain will grow more difficult. The ice beneath the surface is unstable in places. We must be careful." They continued, moving slowly, deliberately. Every step required attention. At one point, the cowboy spotted a ridge of ice that looked solid but, upon closer inspection, had thin cracks running across its surface. He knelt, testing it with a pole, and found a hollow space beneath. Carefully, he marked the edges with small stakes, creating a safe path. The woman watched, nodding in approval. Humans were capable of problem-solving, of seeing solutions where the world presented obstacles. This was their strength. Hours later, they reached a narrow valley flanked by towering ice spires. Sunlight glimmered off their surfaces, refracting into tiny rainbows across the snow. The woman paused, eyes scanning the area. "This is it," she said. "Beneath one of these spires lies the structure we seek. The symbols respond strongly here." The cowboy squinted, looking at the base of the tallest spire. The ice was thick, but subtle shapes beneath hinted at something artificial. A faint geometric outline suggested walls and corridors frozen in time. "How do we get inside?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Carefully. The ice is thick, but there are natural passages. We must follow the patterns in the symbols. They will guide us." Together, they moved closer. The pack pulsed brighter with every step, casting soft light across the snow. The cowboy felt a thrill, a mixture of anticipation and respect. Humans had always explored the unknown, survived against odds, and solved mysteries no one else could. This was no exception. As they approached the spire, the terrain grew tricky. Ice ridges rose like jagged teeth, forcing them to climb and navigate carefully. The woman led the way, her experience evident in every movement. She tested the ice, avoided weak spots, and found handholds in frozen formations. The cowboy followed, relying on both his instincts and the patterns of light from her pack. Finally, they reached a narrow opening at the base of the spire. It was partially concealed by snow and ice, barely noticeable to an untrained eye. The symbols pulsed intensely now, as if urging them forward. "This is it," she whispered. "The entrance." They crouched and moved through the opening, finding themselves in a small tunnel carved by natural forces, but reinforced in places by alien construction. The walls glowed faintly with energy traces, almost imperceptible to a casual observer. The cowboy could feel it humming softly, a reminder that this was no ordinary place. The tunnel widened into a small chamber. Ice covered most surfaces, but there were clear signs of alien design. Smooth walls, precise angles, and strange markings that resembled the symbols on her pack. The woman set the pack on a flat surface, and the symbols began to interact with the markings, forming patterns that pulsed in rhythm. The cowboy stepped closer, awestruck. "It's like the symbols know where to go," he said. "Yes," she replied. "They respond to human thought." To observation, watch carefully. As they studied the chamber, the symbols created a projection above the pack. It was faint at first, then grew brighter, a three-dimensional map of the tunnel system beneath the ice, highlighting passages, chambers, and hidden areas. The cowboy traced the map with his fingers, feeling a sense of wonder. Humans could perceive, understand, and navigate in ways no other species could. Their minds, adaptable and creative, made them capable of this discovery. Suddenly, the floor beneath them trembled slightly. The ice shifted, but no cracks formed. Both froze. "Natural movement," she said softly. "The ice expands and contracts, but we must be careful. The tunnel may change over time." They moved forward, guided by the symbols and the holographic map. The tunnels twisted and turned, sometimes narrowing so that only one could pass at a time. At points, the ceiling was low, forcing them to crouch or crawl. The light from her pack illuminated the walls, revealing intricate designs, strange inscriptions, and occasional objects frozen in place for centuries. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time seemed to blur in the glowing tunnel. The cowboy and the woman worked together, solving small puzzles, moving blocks to align patterns, pressing symbols to activate mechanisms, and following subtle energy flows. Each success brought a soft pulse from the pack, as if acknowledging their cleverness. Finally, they reached a large chamber. It was enormous, carved into the ice and rock, with walls covered in symbols, devices, and what appeared to be data crystals frozen in place. The symbols on her pack pulsed brightly, hovering over one particular pedestal. "This is it," she whispered, "the heart of the archive. Here lies knowledge hidden for eons." The cowboy stepped forward carefully, marveling at the scale. Humans had reached places no one else could. They could endure, adapt, and unlock mysteries. And now, this chamber promised discoveries that could change everything humanity knew about the universe. The woman placed her hands on the pedestal. The pack glowed brighter and the symbols on the pedestal began to align, forming patterns that seemed to move in response to their thoughts. The chamber hummed softly, energy flowing through the ice and rock. "It's working," she said. "We are unlocking it." Slowly, carefully. The cowboy watched, heart pounding with excitement. This was human potential in action: ingenuity, curiosity, observation, and cooperation. Alone, they might survive. Together, they could achieve the impossible. As the light spread through the chamber, projecting star maps, diagrams, and alien writings, the cowboy felt a surge of awe. Humans had always reached for the unknown, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. For the first time, he understood. Survival was only the beginning. Discovery was the true reward. And somewhere deep beneath the frozen plains, the archive waited to reveal its secrets, guided by human minds brave and clever enough to unlock them. The chamber was enormous, its walls glowing softly with alien energy. Strange inscriptions and geometric patterns covered every surface. The air was crisp, almost metallic, but not unpleasant. The cowboy and the woman stood together, awestruck by the scale and complexity of the space. "This is more than I expected," the cowboy said. His voice echoed faintly, bouncing off the icy walls. "It's like a library, but alive." "Exactly," she replied. "This is the heart of their archive. It was designed not just to store knowledge, but to interact with the mind. Only intelligent, curious beings can unlock it fully." She placed her pack on a pedestal at the center of the chamber. The symbols pulsed brightly, casting soft patterns of light across the walls. The cowboy stepped closer, his eyes scanning the holographic projections that flickered above the pack. Star systems, energy diagrams, and strange devices appeared in midair. Every symbol seemed to respond to their thoughts. "Look at this," she said. "They left instructions hidden in their patterns. We must think like them, observe, and connect the dots. Humans can do that. Most other species cannot." The cowboy nodded, understanding. Humans had always survived and thrived because of their ability to notice patterns, to improvise, to solve problems creatively. Here, that same ability was their key to unlocking the archive. They began exploring. The first puzzle was subtle, a set of symbols on the wall that shifted when touched, but only in a certain sequence. The cowboy experimented, moving blocks and pressing panels, while the woman watched carefully, her hands hovering over her pack. The symbols reacted, forming a flowing pattern that lit up the room. "Yes," she whispered, "you see it. You understand it." A doorway slid open in the wall, revealing another chamber filled with crystalline structures. Light passed through them in strange ways, creating prismatic beams that painted the walls with color. In the center of the room lay a pedestal holding a frozen sphere, faintly glowing. The woman approached it cautiously. This is an energy sphere. It contains stored knowledge, information about their technology and their discoveries, but it responds only to thought, to intention, not brute force. The cowboy leaned closer. How do we activate it? Focus, she said simply. Imagine what you want to learn, concentrate. He closed his eyes for a moment, thinking of human survival, exploration, and the secrets of the universe. The sphere pulsed in response, a gentle light that grew brighter, then spread through the chamber. Holographic projections appeared around them, showing energy systems, star maps, and diagrams of alien devices. Humans can perceive this, she said. Our minds can follow their logic even across time. Others could not. We can understand, adapt, and innovate. That is our gift. Hours passed as they explored the chamber. They moved from one pedestal to another, unlocking data slowly and carefully. Each success brought new light, new projections, new insights. The cowboy marveled at the depth of knowledge contained in these alien relics, methods of energy generation far beyond anything humans had achieved, designs for structures that could survive harsh planetary conditions, and star maps that revealed previously unknown planets and resources. This could change everything, he said quietly, not just for survival but for exploration, for understanding the universe. Yes, she agreed. It's not power, not weapons, it's knowledge, and humans, we are meant to use it wisely. Curiosity, creativity, cooperation, that is what unlocks the archive. The symbols on her pack pulsed faster now, forming new patterns. The cowboy noticed that the patterns seemed to follow their movements, responding to their attention and thought. It's like the archive is alive, he said. In a way, she replied. It reacts to understanding, to observation, to imagination. That is why humans can awaken it. The next puzzle was more complex. A series of energy conduits crisscrossed the chamber, and holographic locks blocked the flow. To proceed, they had to redirect the energy in specific patterns, using both logic and intuition. The cowboy studied the conduits, tracing the lines with his eyes. He saw the paths that connected naturally, the points where energy needed guidance. The woman guided him gently. Think like a problem solver, not just with the mind but with perception. Watch, notice, imagine. Together they moved pieces of the conduit, testing different configurations. Energy flowed partially at first, causing faint hums and light pulses. Slowly, steadily, they adjusted and redirected, until finally the energy reached the correct nodes. The chamber responded with a brilliant glow, and a new doorway opened, leading deeper into the archive. The cowboy felt a rush of pride. Humans had achieved this without force, without destruction, simply by using their minds, their creativity, and their cooperation. We did it, he whispered, awe in his voice. Yes, she said, smiling. That is the human way. We do not rely on strength alone. We observe, we learn, we adapt. That is why we survive and why we can awaken the knowledge of the universe. They moved forward into the new chamber. It was larger, filled with crystalline structures that refracted light in dazzling patterns. Holographic maps of star systems rotated in midair, showing routes and connections that no human had ever mapped. Data crystals floated gently, each containing a piece of alien knowledge. This is incredible, the cowboy said. We can study this, learn from it, and carry it back to humanity. Yes, she agreed, but we must be patient. The archive is vast. It was meant to be unlocked slowly over time by those willing to think carefully. We cannot rush it. They continued exploring, moving carefully from one pedestal to another. Each time they solved a puzzle, the archive revealed more: star maps, energy techniques, and instructions for building devices that harnessed cosmic phenomena. Humans could perceive these patterns in ways other species could not. Their adaptability, creativity, and curiosity made them uniquely suited for this challenge. Hours turned into what felt like days, though outside the ice, time flowed steadily. The cowboy and the woman worked in quiet harmony, their thoughts and actions synchronized. Each success brought them closer to understanding the full scope of the archive. Finally, they reached a central chamber. It was enormous, with a high ceiling and walls covered in intricate patterns. In the center, a massive crystalline structure pulsed with energy, radiating light across the chamber. "This is the core," the woman said softly. "It contains the knowledge of the entire civilization. Everything they discovered, preserved for those who could understand." The cowboy stepped closer, feeling a sense of reverence. Humans had always explored the unknown, but this was beyond exploration. It was awakening, a connection across time and species, made possible by human ingenuity and curiosity. "Are we ready?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "Together we can unlock it." They focused on the crystalline core, thinking carefully, observing patterns and connecting ideas. Slowly the energy responded, light flowing through the chamber, illuminating new structures, new data streams, new possibilities. The archive was awakening, revealing its secrets to those capable of understanding. The cowboy felt a thrill unlike any he had experienced. Humans could survive harsh worlds, navigate unknown terrains, and solve impossible problems. But here, in the heart of an alien archive, they could do even more. They could awaken knowledge, connect with a long-lost civilization, and glimpse the potential of the universe. Hours passed, but the cowboy did not feel fatigue. Curiosity and wonder drove him onward. The woman moved beside him, guiding, observing, and collaborating. Together, they unlocked the secrets of the archive, one pattern at a time. Finally, the chamber pulsed with brilliant light. The symbols on her pack and the crystalline core aligned perfectly. The archive had recognized them. Knowledge flowed freely, maps expanded, energy systems became clear, and instructions for building devices and harnessing cosmic phenomena appeared in holographic form. The woman looked at the cowboy, her eyes bright with awe. "We did it," she whispered. "The archive is awake. Humanity can now see what no one else could." The cowboy smiled, heart racing, not from fear but from wonder. Humans had survived harsh worlds, adapted to impossible conditions, and now here they were discovering secrets older than humanity itself. The archive had tested them, challenged them, and they had succeeded, not with force but with intelligence, curiosity, and cooperation. Outside, the frozen plain stretched endlessly, untouched and quiet. Inside, the archive glowed with new life, illuminated by human understanding. And for the first time, the cowboy truly felt the power of human potential. Survival was only the beginning. Discovery, ingenuity, and curiosity could reach far beyond any frontier. Together they stepped back, watching the crystalline core pulse with energy and light. The archive had awakened, and humanity's future had just begun. The crystalline core pulsed with a steady rhythm, bathing the chamber in soft, radiant light. Every surface shimmered with alien symbols, star maps, and data streams. The cowboy and the woman stood together, absorbing the enormity of what they had unlocked. It was not just knowledge, it was a connection to a civilization long gone, a bridge across time and space, made accessible because of human ingenuity and curiosity. "This is incredible," the cowboy said, his voice echoing softly against the crystalline walls. "We've never seen anything like this, not in all our exploration." The woman nodded, her eyes reflecting the glow of the core. "They preserved everything here, every discovery, every observation, every method of harnessing energy, and now we can understand it. Humans are the only species capable of unlocking it fully." He looked around, thinking of the frozen plains they had crossed, the hidden tunnels, and the puzzles they had solved. Every challenge had tested their patience, observation, and teamwork. Every step had been a test of human ingenuity, and here they were at the heart of the archive, proving that humans could see and understand what others could not. "Where do we start?" he asked. She smiled. "We start with the basics: energy, navigation, mapping." systems that can change how humans explore the universe. We must understand first, then apply. They approached a large pedestal, its surface etched with alien symbols. The cowboy placed his hands gently on the etched surface, feeling a subtle vibration. The woman did the same with her pack. The symbols responded instantly, pulsing brighter and forming patterns that connected the pedestal, her pack, and the crystalline core. Focus on understanding, she instructed. Think about how humans survive, how we explore, how we adapt. Let the archive recognize our intention. The cowboy closed his eyes for a moment, recalling the countless missions he had undertaken: storms, treacherous terrain, frozen wastelands. Humans had survived not because they were strongest, but because they were clever, adaptable, and cooperative. They could read patterns, solve problems, and persevere. That ability, ingenuity, was now their key. The symbols on the pedestal and the pack shifted, aligning in a complex, radiant design. Light flowed into the crystalline core, and the chamber seemed to expand. Holographic projections of star systems, energy grids, and planetary structures appeared, rotating slowly. The cowboy reached out, tracing lines between nodes, watching as the archive responded, rearranging and illuminating the paths he imagined. "This is amazing," he whispered. "It's not just showing us things, it's reacting to how we think, how we solve problems." "Yes," she said. "Humans are capable of lateral thinking. We can see solutions, understand patterns, and connect ideas across disciplines. That is why the archive recognizes us. Other species may survive, but humans create, adapt, and discover." Hours passed as they explored the core. They discovered ways to generate energy from cosmic phenomena, methods to stabilize harsh planetary environments, and star maps that revealed planets rich in resources and life potential. Every discovery was validated by their thought, their observation, and their collaboration. The cowboy paused, taking a deep breath. "So everything we've learned, we can take it back. Humanity can use this knowledge." "Yes," she said, "but carefully. Knowledge is power only when applied wisely. Our survival, our curiosity, and our ingenuity are what make it meaningful." They moved to another pedestal, this one housing floating crystalline spheres. Each sphere contained detailed data about alien structures, energy systems, and interstellar navigation. The symbols on her pack glowed brighter, pulsing in rhythm with the cowboy's thoughts. "Try to connect the spheres," she said. "Think about patterns, not force. Let human intuition guide you." He reached out and traced a line between two spheres. The light responded instantly, flowing along the path he imagined. Slowly, they connected more spheres, forming an intricate network of energy and information. The core hummed in response, sending waves of light through the chamber. "This is incredible," he said. "It's like we're building something that hasn't existed for centuries." "Exactly," she said. "Humans can awaken what others could not through brute strength, but through understanding, creativity, and observation. That is our gift." Time passed almost unnoticed. The cowboy and the woman continued their work, unlocking layer after layer of the archive. Each discovery felt like a leap forward for humanity, proof that survival was only the beginning and discovery was the true frontier. Finally, they reached the outer section of the core, a chamber filled with enormous crystalline structures that projected three-dimensional maps of galaxies. The cowboy stepped closer, overwhelmed by the vastness. "Do you see it?" she asked. "All of this waiting for humans to understand, waiting for ingenuity, patience, and curiosity. Humans are ready." He nodded slowly, feeling the weight of their achievement. This was not just about survival on a frozen planet. It was about human potential, the ability to explore, adapt, and discover beyond any frontier. The symbols on her pack pulsed faster now, forming a pattern that projected into the air like a bridge of light. The cowboy watched in awe as the holographic projections expanded, revealing routes to uncharted star systems and alien worlds. "Together," she said, We can guide humanity to explore safely, wisely, and intelligently. This is only the beginning." He smiled, heart racing, not from fear, but from awe. Humans had survived impossible odds, navigated unknown worlds, and unlocked secrets older than civilization itself. Now, they could apply that same ingenuity on a galactic scale. They spent hours connecting maps, analyzing energy flows, and understanding alien devices. Every task highlighted the human advantage: observation, adaptability, creativity, and teamwork. The archive responded to their minds, revealing patterns invisible to anyone else. Finally, they stepped back, gazing at the fully awakened core. It pulsed with energy, its light bathing the chamber in colors both familiar and strange. Every symbol, every projection, every sphere was active, forming a network of knowledge spanning the galaxy. "We've done it," the cowboy said softly. "The archive is awake. Humanity can now see what no one else could." "Yes," she replied, "and we will take this knowledge back. Not for power, not for conquest, but to advance humanity's understanding, to explore, to survive, and to discover." The cowboy felt a rush of pride. Humans had always been explorers, problem solvers, and survivors. Alone, they could endure harsh worlds. Together, they could unlock secrets older than their species. And now, here at the heart of an alien archive, they had proven it once again. Outside, the frozen plain stretched endlessly, quiet and still. But inside the chamber, a new future was unfolding. Star maps glowed, energy systems hummed, and alien knowledge flowed freely into human understanding. The cowboy turned to the woman. "What now?" he asked. "Now," she said, "we share what we have learned. We explore new worlds, harness new energy, and expand humanity's reach. This archive is only the beginning. There are countless mysteries waiting for human minds to unlock." He nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Survival had brought them together. Curiosity had guided them. Discovery had transformed them. And humanity, he realized, was ready for the next great leap. Together, they left the chamber, the symbols on her pack glowing softly, guiding their path back through the tunnels. Every step echoed with possibility. Every breath carried the promise of knowledge, exploration, and human ingenuity. As they emerged from the frozen spire into the pale light of the alien planet, the cowboy looked out across the vast plains. Somewhere beyond the horizon lay new discoveries, uncharted worlds, and secrets waiting for human minds to unravel. "Let's go," he said. The woman smiled, nodding. "Humanity is ready, and so are we." The wind carried their footsteps across the snow, a rhythm of determination and curiosity. The frozen planet had tested them, challenged them, and rewarded them. But now, humanity's true potential had awakened, shining brighter than the icy plains, reaching out toward the stars. Above them, faintly visible through the clouds, distant planets glimmered like points of light on a cosmic map. The cowboy felt a thrill unlike any he had known. Humans had survived. Humans had discovered. And humans, he realized, were ready to leap into the universe, guided by ingenuity, curiosity, and the enduring spirit of exploration. The archive had awakened, and with it, the future of humanity.